Good morning. It is day 6. Sorry if my car is a little loud, but I'm getting ready to go. I don't have much time for an intro because I gotta go. I'm running a little bit later than I'd like to be, considering I want to get a coffee on the way. It's first grade, only half a day today. Hopefully it's a calm, cool, collected, fun morning. And then I'll get caught up on stuff this afternoon. I gotta go grocery shopping. I've got to catch up on my reading and hopefully get some more reading done. So let's see how much I actually get accomplished today. Okay, I'm getting ready to read and I've got to add my hour. This is my 36 minutes from yesterday. Here we go. Okay, so I have 41 minutes remaining. I've been reading a bit this afternoon. Not as much as I should be. I've been a little distracted and just futzing around the house, but I am reading, and I'm currently on page 140, and we've definitely delved a lot more into his letters with his daughter Maria Celeste. And what's interesting about that aspect of it is we're learning more about what life was like for these different nuns during this time, because it was pretty popular for especially wealthy people. Like, it wasn't initially wealthy people, but it became wealthy people to put their daughters in convents. And they actually had to pay a dowry for their daughters when they put them into the convents, because the convents worked on this concept of poverty. When they originally created, the nuns served God by showing their dedication through their poverty and through eating very, very little bit of food. A lot of them were starving, essentially. Over time, that changed a little bit. They were still living within this idea of poverty, but it wasn't quite as extreme. So in order to keep the convents running, the families that put their daughters into the convents as nuns had to pay a dowry. I don't know exactly if there was a status element to putting your daughters in, and your sons too, because a lot of men, it was obviously more females, but there were definitely a lot of men that were put in monasteries to become monks. Maybe it gave them a certain level of standing with the cardinals. The church was in charge of everything, and they were incredibly wealthy. They were incredibly powerful, and you wanted to be on the best side of the church. If you wanted rank within society, you needed to have a good standing. So I'm guessing maybe that's why so many people put their daughters and sons in convents and monasteries at this time. For Galileo, obviously, it was because his daughters were illegitimate. So that was, for him, convenient, and for his daughters as well. They didn't have to face social ruin, I'm guessing. But they didn't necessarily have a choice. His eldest daughter did really well within the convent, but his younger daughter had a very sullen and quiet, and her personality was unhappy, but I think that it was unhappy because she probably didn't want to be in the convent. This wasn't the right setting for her, and she never had a choice. So oftentimes she was in the clinic part of the convent because she was ill all the time. But I'm guessing her illness was probably depression or different ailments that became of her depression. These young girls would get put into the convents at the age of 13, and then they would take the veil around 16 or so. And it was meant to be done later so that they, I guess, had a choice, and they chose the veil. They chose to become nuns, but the reality was that most of them didn't have a choice. They just got placed there and they were expected to take the veil. And so there were definitely situations where it wasn't good for them. It wasn't the right situation, and they just had no choice. They lived their life being forced to do this work of prayer, and they prayed for hours and hours and hours each day. They lived a very ascetic, is that the word for it? Where they don't eat, don't drink, a very ascetic lifestyle, and they didn't get to choose it. This was chosen for them. I think that's pretty sad. I mean, luckily for him, his eldest daughter thrived in this environment, but his younger daughter just was miserable. Okay, well, I have 12 minutes left, and I was hoping I'd be able to finish the 12 minutes. But every single time I pick up the book, I just fall asleep. So, like, I get maybe a minute of reading, and then a minute of reading, and so I'm wasting time, I think. Not a lot, but just enough that I'm like, okay, no, these last 12 minutes are going to be saved till tomorrow. I'll do an hour and 12 minutes tomorrow, and hopefully I can get completely caught up. But I'm currently on page 149. And, you know, I'm making progress. It's not super quick, but it is a pretty dense nonfiction with like a lot of information in this. It reads a little slow, maybe not the kind of book that I would rush through. And I'm having a hard time because I'm just really tired. But I wanted to say something before I forget, that this first week of my 1 week, 1 shelf challenge is actually going to be 8 days. Because when I looked at the calendar, the first started on a Saturday, but like the week, if I think about Sunday through Saturday as a week, that's the 2nd through the 8th. And it actually works out perfectly because if this first week I do 8 days, the second week will be 7 days, the third week will be 7 days, and then the fourth week will be 8 days again because we have that one extra day, the 31st. So just know that I'm going through the end of day Saturday with this book because I don't think I'm going to be getting a chance to read any other nonfiction books this week. I'm going to try and read as much as I can before Saturday, and I will continue reading this somehow after Saturday, but I will be moving on to the next shelf. All right, I'm going to go to bed now. But before I do, let me know in the comment section down below, what was the most recent nonfiction book that you read? Did you enjoy it? Was it something that took you a long time to get through, as this one is taking me a little while to get through because it's very dense, as sometimes these nonfictions are. And I feel like the writing is great. It is beautiful writing, but it doesn't always flow, or something about it puts me to sleep. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens on day 7. Tomorrow's day 7 already of June. Whew. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.